What is going on, everyone? And I welcome you to Futures Trading with NinjaTrader. We've got Jim Cagnina hanging out with us like he does every single Monday morning. And we're going to talk about futures. We're going to talk about crypto and all the other levels that you need to pay attention to intraday and also on the bigger time frame as well. So let's go ahead and get this show started. Jim Cagnina, Senior Education and Training Specialist at NinjaTrader. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Had a good weekend and ready to go. How you doing?
Good. What were you up to this weekend?
You know, this weekend was dedicated to like domestic kind of chores around the house.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit of productivity inside the house. Okay.
Yeah.
I respect it. I love it. Let's go ahead and get started. Why don't we? Let's talk about what you've got on your screen right there. Looks like we got the mini ES.
Yes, sir. We got the micro E-mini S&P futures contract, courtesy of the Chicago Board of Trade. And, it's an interesting day today. It's a low volume day, I guess, middle of August. I'm not surprised, right? We have a few more weeks of this probably. Real normal distribution on the volume profile on the left-hand side of my screen, as you can see. And we're kind of trading in the middle of it today. And I do have a 2-unit trade idea going on right now. I'm in simulated live mode in full disclosure.
Yeah.
But my average position right here is at 4270.
Yeah.
In the E-mini S&P, and then I have a target. My first unit target is it's 42.76 3/4, and my second target is it's 42.83.5, with the stop all the way below the pivot point down here at 42.56 3/4.
Wait, so you're long?
I'm long, yeah.
Okay. Usually, whenever you and I hang out, you're short. So this is interesting. Mind if I ask why you're long this time? Like, what are you seeing that's kind of giving you the confidence here?
Well, I mean, ever since, just take a look at we made lows at about 9 o'clock, right? 9 to 9:10 East Coast time. It's been nonstop buying ever since, including a couple of really powerful, I'm going to call them dominant candles, right? Green dominant candles. And then CCI has been positive. Moving average cross has an open jaw the whole time. And, I did notice this kind of value area kind of behavior. And I thought, well, all indication, low volume is this market's looking stronger than weaker. And, we have a 4,300 target ultimately. And let's give it a shot. So we came up with 2 areas of interest. We got in, and now we're just hanging tight.
I love it. Yeah, it's always nice when you're kind of rooting for the upside. I feel like the chat kind of likes that a little bit more. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and check out a couple of other things. Let's talk about the Nasdaq if we can on the future side, and see if you got any levels there that you like. So looks like we got a bit of consolidation for the past 30, 40 minutes there.
Yeah, very similar volume profile is almost symmetrical. It's almost bell-shaped Gaussian distribution with the point of control toward the middle, where we're trading at about right now. But what you'll notice here is you have these big candles, right? We have really big candles relative to what happened late last night, and with some big wicks associated with it. And this is oftentimes associated with kind of market uncertainty and a little FOMO, a little fear going on. So there's a lot of volatility here with the micro Nasdaq market, more so than the other stock index futures. So keep that in mind when you're placing stops and targets. Mind the potential of these big wicks. I mean, look at this wick right here. I mean, this is crazy looking doji that we had at 9:20 to 10:20 to 10:30, and you could have been directionally right on your trade idea and then just got whacked. So again, this is looking pretty systematic though across the board.
And your VWAP on this line is where?
So it's I know it's kind of hard to see. It's this blue one? Yeah, it's that line right there. So we just crossed the VWAP on the upside. The first standard deviation band of the VWAP is up at 588. The second one is all the way up here at 617. So, the interesting part about that is we've been trading between the VWAP and the second standard deviation band pretty much all morning. It's in that range.
Yeah, I see the range there. Now, if you were to go long or short here, what level would be looking at? Because I know you prefer the mini or the micro mini that you already have a trade on. But what about here? Would you be looking for like a pop above the 13,580, or is this kind of the area where you'd go long right now?
Yeah, so I would wait. So let me just draw a rectangle here because I'm just going to show you an area of support, short-term support that is. And I'm going to touch the top of my rectangle with the bottom of the most recent recent set of candles here. So my top of my rectangle here is touching the top of the lowest closed body of a candle, give or take. It might be off a couple ticks. So this is going to be my area of support. I want to see it move back down into here before I go long. So as an example here, this is a nice target wick down here. I would do something similar to this, try to buy it down here if we can get a retracement back up. I wouldn't use the point of control as an entry. That's that golden bar with the most volume, because in my mind, point of control is kind of a destination instead of a departure place. So I'm going to leave that alone. And then the upside, someone might say, well, hey, Jim, what about if you want to go short?
Yeah,
well, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw the rectangle again to give me an idea. Where's my short-term area of resistance this time? Again, we're trading into it right now. I'm only concerned with closed candles. There's contemporary candles in it, but I got to wait for it to close before I change my rectangle. So here's the opposite point of view. And I would say, listen, we got a really good area here, top of the value area, top of the rectangle, target wick, above that deviation band, and I would throw a limit order. So that would be my sell idea.
Yeah.
If that's your point of view. And again, maybe your point of view is, hey, we're going to trade in the value area anyway. So let's just let one will be the position, one will be the target.
Yeah, I usually like to play on the SPY side. So actually, instead of going long SPY here, I'm actually long futures as well, because I wanted to get into it a little bit more. So what better way than to do it while we're on the show? But again, that's for me and what I believe is best for my portfolio. I do want to make it very clear that Jim and the platform that he's showing here at the NinjaTrader, it is a simulated account with real-time data. So all the information you're seeing right now is real-time. The account itself is simulated. But I personally am long the micros, and we'll see how that goes. I actually want to go back to the mini if we can and see how your position is doing there, because I'm sure it's up a few points. There it is.
So it's funny. It's funny you refer to it as the minis. The mini. Yeah. No, I know, but the S&P, everybody, this isn't just you. This is everybody. Refers to the S&P as the mini, right? And everything else is just another stock index future. Exactly. I got you. I'm with you there, though.
No, I love it. Now let's go. Okay, so we covered the ES, we covered the Nasdaq. Let's go and check out some Bitcoin and crypto movement. I know that a lot of folks are interested in that, especially since the bounce around 20,000. Let's see what we've got going on there. Currently trading at 2,400, it seems.
Yeah, so this has been interesting. If I could take a minute and just show a daily chart,
please.
Let's see if I have one up. I think I might. Yeah, I do. This has kind of been an interesting kind of pattern here, because I have a whole bunch of moving average crosses, moving averages there. But this has been a nice trend up. I'm just going to draw a really kind of casual, loosely fitting trend line, right? And I'll just kind of just pick it off right there. And you can see the trend is up. Trend is up here, right? And this is a positive thing. Now, alternatively, you could also say, well, yeah, but Jim, we're starting to develop a top here. We're starting to develop a top of a triangle here. So what's going to happen? So, I say, forget what the textbook says about triangles breaking up or breaking down. There's going to be a breakout, right? Yeah. One way or the other, as we get closer and closer to the tip. So right now, I think we're at a real critical level here. And I think it's summertime. I think there's no reason why this thing can't move up further right now, in anticipation of a really keen, positive regulatory framework coming, hopefully September, October, November.
Now, for NinjaTrader, each point is worth how much? Does that make sense? Like, obviously, for crypto, if you're just buying the asset, the value in the asset goes up. Is it different in terms of what you've got there with the MBT?
Yeah, I mean, all the contract specs are different. Right. Let's just go ahead and let's see if I have this set up to place it. The best way to show this is to put a trade in. So let's just go ahead and so it's easier to understand. So right now, let's just go ahead and try to get. I'm just going to try to buy a contract here. And if worst comes to worst, we'll just add a. All right, I'm going to try. There we go.
Fill. There we go.
Right. So each tick. There we go. -5, and you could change. There we go. Oops. Sorry.
You're fine.
Right. So now we have a situation where how many ticks are we? We're 1 tick, and we're down 5. Right. 5 index points. But each one is worth 50 cents a contract. You can see at the top left here in my control panel, -50. So that's kind of a when in doubt, log into sim mode, place a trade, and you'll see what the tick sizes are. But the nice thing about this, it is a micro. You could scale in. It's a scalable. It's 1/10 the size of a Bitcoin, and you could scale in and have a fractional Bitcoin or even a whole Bitcoin as you do scale in. So that's one of the things I love about it.
Got it. Now let's go to move on to crude oil and see what you got in terms of levels there for us.
This is surprising. Crude oil, we're in an odd situation here where we're worried about things like the war. We're worried about things about Chinese production. We're worried about jobs, and we're worried about inflation. And here we have like one of the key components of what we call headline CPI, PPI, and all those numbers breaking down in front of our eyes. I mean, we're at 88 right now. I'm bearish here, and especially on top of the China news that's supposedly going to taper demand even more on crude oil. But we haven't even got VWAP. We're trading above it right now, but barely. First standard deviation band's a really sweet target. There's no prices below value here, hardly on the volume profile. So I would be looking for places to sell here for sure in the crude oil market. Remember though, it's a volatile market. It could move $5-6 easy. Yeah. And it's a bigger size market. So I would do something like, hey, let's try to get back up to that VWAP and try to get short. And then if we kind of break up past S2, then, forget it. I'm out. It was a bad trade idea.
Let's go and take a look at the daily and if there are other bigger bigger levels that you see on the crude oil.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. I have my, let me take those up. Well, that's all right. We'll leave them for now. Let me open this up. Here we go. That's better. All right. So, I have this long-term area, this rectangle down here. This is a long-term area of support, 85, 87, which is a target for shorts, in my opinion, this whole rectangle. And it dates all the way back to this low back here in March, right? Yeah. Right when we kind of rallied, and then we kind of oscillated all the way back down just a few days to that level. And then we had nothing ever since. So right in that's my sweet spot right now on the downside. And so I'd kind of like, right south of 86 in there. And then if we break down even lower, 75 and 65 are not out of the question. But this is a bear market. I mean, look at it. And it doesn't take a technical analysis genius to see that we're just, we oscillate up and we're making lower highs every oscillation.
Definitely a downtrend though. Yeah.
Yeah. A, lower B, lower C, lower D, lower E. So every high we've made ever since that peak in June has been a lower high. Right. So again, this is looking pretty bearish from a technical analysis point of view. I probably wouldn't be looking for places to buy until something changes.
And you've got the 50, that's the blue line there, right?
50 EMA, right. This is the 50 period exponential moving average. And I kind of like those on the daily charts. A lot of times they give you areas of support and resistance. Not so much on this chart, even though we've been trading below it forever, but we haven't really bounced off it. So this chart's maybe a little different than some of the other charts, but I have it on there anyway, since force of habit.
Yeah, no, I got you there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some corn if we can and see what's going on in that side of market, especially intraday, and then we can go to the bigger levels and check out the dailies as well. Unless you want to start from the daily.
Let's do that. I mean, this is interesting. This is corn futures at the Chicago Board of Trade, based on Chicago Board of Trade delivery. So keep that in mind. But it's retraced nicely from its high. It kind of bounced back up to 38.20% and stuck. I feel like we may be in a sideways channel here. We had a little bit of a trend going for the last few days. And then today, everything kind of ground to a halt, and now we're kind of breaking back down here. So I expect some sideways channel in corn as we go forward here. I haven't heard any crazy stories about weather and stuff like that lately. Yeah. So hopefully we're in good shape here in corn. And I don't know. My bias here is sideways, not necessarily bullish or bearish.
Let's check out the intraday, and then I have a question about corn that I'll get to. And of course, if the chat you have any questions, you can feel free to drop it in the chat as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at the intraday and see if you got something you like on corn.
All right, I got to change it here. Let's see. What ticker symbol is Z? C. Don't ask me why the Z. There's a reason why the Z. But so I have a naked chart up here right now on corn. This is a 10-minute. Actually, a better way for me to do it, by the way, folks, this is really easy to do. Just right-click on a tab, and you can duplicate in a new tab. If you go all the way to the bottom here, I'm going to duplicate in a new tab. Now I'll have 2 British pound charts, and now I'm going to change my symbol so all of my analysis is up there already.
Nice. Got it.
Better way to do it. That's a better way. So there we go. There it is. A lot of volume, down low, point of control. We're right at it right now. I don't expect this to move much for the rest of the day. Today it's already 11:15. A lot of the action happens, as you can see, early morning where all this volume occurred. If you look at the value area, we didn't really get any volume in that value area, that dark blue at the bottom there, those histogram bars, until 8:30. And then all of this huge amount of volume occurred. And this is typical of corn right now. So again, it's looking, sideways to me, but today's a down day. S1 I expect to hold.
You've got the SPY trying to battle with VWAP, trying to figure out what it's going to do with its life there. But looking at the corn futures here, it looks like 616 is a support intraday. And of course, you've got support one around 622. And that's actually around VWAP. So it would make sense to kind of find support, test VWAP, and either fail there or not. So that does look kind of like a interesting trade. To me, at least it does. But I'm not sure how you think about it. But
I love your thought process. I'm going to draw another rectangle.
Yeah, right there.
Area resistance. It's S1 is right there. VWAP is right there. There's 3 areas of interest right there. That's a great observation for sure. And so it depends on your point of view. It's like, hey, do I get long and make that a target, or do I wait till it get up here and go short again?
Yep.
Right. I mean, I would lean toward short just because look at the trend.
Just because of trend. Yeah. And of course, if we went ahead and draw a line from that PP area to the left side all the way to the down, you'd see that it's in a nice little downtrend there as well, as a future looking to make its way right back up.
We could do it.
Excuse me here. Yep. See, there you go. Right. So perfect. So as soon as you can you can start around like the 621s to go short with a stop loss, maybe at 624. So especially if your target's going to be 618, 616, you want to make sure you have at least a 1-to-1 risk reward trade. But the SPY looks to be coming back above VWAP and trying to make a move to the upside. So that'll be fun to keep an eye on for us. But let's see, are there any other markets that you want to kind of take a look at before we go back to the micros?
Yeah, but by the way, just one more note on this chart.
Yeah.
So you see these volume profiles here, and then you see this weird kind of this unusual spike in volume right here. And when I put my crosshairs on, usually I kind of blow these off, but when I put my crosshairs on it, I look across and I see how many times in the day it traded, what time frame, right? So the first time we traded there was 6 o'clock. The last time we traded there was 8:20. So a good hour and a half almost we traded at that level. So you were right on spot. I would put my stop right above that level. Because again, I'm going to use this volume for more information to help me.
Got it. Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. One thing I definitely need to do better as a trader is to learn volume profiles, because I'll be honest, I don't know how to use them necessarily, right? All I understand is like, hey, once you break through, like for example, you have the golden one there, right? So it's like, hey, once you break through that and the less volume profiles info you see on the left, the easier it is for the stock to move towards those levels. Do I have a basic surface first grade understanding of that?
Well, yeah, no, you're right. So it's the way I look at this is the on a normal distribution day, that point of control tends to act like a magnet. That's that golden bar, the one with the most.
Yeah.
Today, I would say is a little different because this is what's a small case B distribution, right? If you think of it as a letter B, so all the action is down south. But again, it could act like a magnet as well. So that's kind of number one. Number two, what this shows you though is buyers and sellers have agreed to do deals with various levels of veracity. And you could tell here, this was a lot of deals happened right here, even though this isn't the primary point of control, but relative to all the other histogram bars, buyers and sellers felt this was price happiness. Then when we broke on down, the paradigm shifted a little bit when we really opened this morning, and buyers and sellers loved this 619.50. A lot of folks, traders traded there. So again, it tells me price happiness, and if it's a normal distribution, it acts like a magnet. Those are the two main things for me.
Got it. Appreciate that. Yeah. Any other markets you want to take a look at? And then we can get to the tip of the day here in a moment.
Gold was interesting today, and I'll tell you why. We had this is the micro gold futures contract, and these are a whole bunch of I call these baby bars, right? They're small.
Yeah.
relative to, obviously to this one, right? The 820, 830 bar was a dominant candle, but all of these candles are kind of baby candles. The interesting part is it's just slowly selling off,
I was gonna
slowly
say,
selling off,
yeah, they're
slowly.
small, but you can see that the trend is clearly down the downside, especially as it trails the EMA below it.
Right. And when I see this kind of setup, and again, let me just draw a fib line. I know we're time constrained, but let me do
Oh, we're
that.
fine. You're okay.
We did finally have this big rally here, and it was rejected almost immediately. This red line is the previous session's low. It rejected it immediately, and we just raced back down to S2. So this was a really good signal for me when you see
Look
this
at where
kind of
rejected.
behavior.
Look at that rejection, right at the VWAP.
Yeah, the VWAP, 38.2% retracement. You have yesterday, the previous session's low. All the worlds are colliding right there.
Yeah, you've got the micros, by the way, above VWAP now. SPY looking to make a move above 42.71. Let's go ahead and, let's do your tip of the week, and then we can kind of come back and check out these charts a little bit more.
Sounds good.
Let me go ahead and I'm slacking. That's on me, but here is a tip of the day. What you got for us?
All right. So remember, third Friday of the month. Options expiration.
Yeah.
You have S&P kind of between two key levels, 4,200 and 4,300. And so keep that in mind as we get closer and closer to the end of the week, where we're at, which one of these we're closer to. And remember, there could be a cluster activity around these numbers.
Yeah. How are you going to play that though, right? If you know that option expirations are coming, do you typically like to just take lower size because you don't know which way the market makers and the markets are going to swing towards? Or is it more like, hey, trade like normal, but just keep it in mind, period?
Yeah. So, as we get to Friday, it's going to be like, all right, if we're trading at 42.80 as an example, I'm more inclined to want to be long because I want to get to that. My target is 4300, right? That's 20 handles, 20 points right there. Alternatively, if we're around 42.20, the opposite, I want to do the opposite. My target's going to be 4200 even, and I want to go short. So that's kind of, all things set aside, everything else. That's kind of the general idea.
Got it. And now, of course, taking a look at your trade at the moment here, I assume you're not going to change anything. You're just going to let the kind of trade kind of work out, do its thing, meet your targets, whether to the upside or to the downside, period.
Well, yeah. Well, on a 2-unit trade like this, because this was I entered in 2 different places. And so my idea for an average position of 42.70 and a quarter, if I get my first target, then I'll only have 1 unit left, right? So one of the targets will be successful. And then I'm going to change my stop to 1 unit and move it up to that break even, move it up to 42.70 and let this next one roll. And if everything's looking really strong, I mean, let's say the CCI is pumping out 150, moving average cross is moving even further apart, then I might maybe even move my target up higher. I have this as an old one. Sorry about that. This would be really aggressive. We're not doing that. But but right now, basically, you're right. Other than I'm going to move my stop to break even once we get that first unit, and then hopefully that second unit rides either to my target or some other place that you decide to change it to.
Now, do you ever, now remember, and you obviously just had the 4,300 limit and you went ahead and canceled that because it's a bit too aggressive. Do you like to leave runners though? If not, why not?
Well, you could.
It's like a trailing stop, right? Like, I'm sorry, apologies for interrupting you there, but like, for example, you said, hey, if my first limit sells, I move my stop to break even, right? Are you not a fan of trailing stop losses, whether it's through percentage gains, whether it's through dollar amounts, point wise, things like that? Like, do you believe in runners or no? As we giddy up here, move to the upside, you're already up $230 on the simulated account here.
Yeah, no, so I do believe in them for sure, but you also have to be reasonable. And so this is a Jim Cagnina thing. What's reasonable? Is it reasonable that we're going to get to 4,300 before I get stopped out? Or is it more reasonable that we're going to test the highs? And that's why I have the target here right now. Alternatively, what you're saying is a great strategy, right? We get our first unit and then we'll let's say we decided to do that, right? We'll move up, or it's really easy to do with the NinjaTrader software, right? You just kind of move that limit order up and grab it and drag it up here. And then say, okay, as this thing starts moving upward, we're going to manually trail our remaining stop because we already have 1 unit in the bank until we eventually get stopped out. Yeah, that's a good strategy. Also, it's a different strategy, but it's also something that it doesn't always work, Doesn't always work. You know, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, but it's definitely something to think about. Me personally, this is more my personality right here.
Yeah, I feel you on that one because I definitely have a hard time leaving a runner, especially because then I end up micromanaging it, like my boss that I didn't like back in the day. It's like, you know, I'm just on it. I'm on top of it. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to see what it's doing and all that stuff. But sometimes it's like, just leave me alone. The job will get done and you'll make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Patience is key. That. It's key to be patient. It's key to keep, you know, my hands are off the mouse right now.
Yeah, no, I love it. Let's go ahead and take out the Qs as well, because it looks like you've got a 1 unit trade there. That's up about $90 on that.
Oh yeah, this is great. Nice. This is great lessons learned. Why don't I have a stop loss in here? Let me put it in. I'm going to put it in again, right around break even for now. I'm just going to right click. NinjaTrader software is easy to do. I have it in right now. And let's take a look what's happening here. We're in my rectangle and we're close. Right? We're close. Yeah. And it's so tempting to say, you know what, let's just take it.
Exactly.
Let's just move our target down and take it. Yeah. You know, this is a human behavior to want to do it, right? I don't know which behavior it is. I'm not a psychologist, but my experience is oftentimes you have a good trade idea, you stick with it. Don't start moving stuff around unless you place a trade and say, listen, if this doesn't happen by noon, then everything's different. I want to change things, right? Yeah. Or whatever time frame you associate this trade idea. Right now, it's a micro. I'm happy. I have high hopes here. We're going to get this, but you know, maybe we don't. Now, if you're really freaked out, again, you could use your methodology and say, all right, I'm going to trail my stop. You know, I'm going to bring it up to VWAP now, so I get a little bit more meat on the bone if I do get stopped out.
Yeah.
It's better than, you know, nothing. And that's another good strategy to use. But we're going to get filled before we're done talking. Maybe. Almost 4 more handles, 3 more handles, 2 more.
Well, especially with like the points, you know, like the each point is worth so much that you know, when you go ahead and say, oh, it's just 6 points away, let me just go ahead and sell it here. Well, you may have lost out on a potential, depending on what you're trading, of course, on the micro or the mini, $250 or whatever the case may be. So like you have to be smart about it, because then your R&R messes up and it just may not be the best case for you. So I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, no, I know. And then this is just frustrating as all. I know it's frustrating. It's hard. This is harder than figuring out where to enter is patience and watching, right? You know, time to turn the news on, or maybe me and you should just do a Skype call and talk about life or something like that. Just get away from it.
Well, speaking of which, so I'm actually, you know, I mentioned I was in that trade and I went and scaled out some here at the 42.75 on the mini side, or excuse me, the micro side. I definitely do not have the courage to trade the mini yet. And that's just because for me, I'm like taking profits because I'm like, I don't know if this is going to wick down. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and book some profits along the way. But
where did you get out? Where did you get out?
Here, let me go ahead and take a look at my, where did I get out? Let me have to scroll a little bit past here. Come on. Sorry, I've got like a bunch of notifications. Give me 1 second here. If I can even find
That's all right. That's all right. If it's not handy, I'm just curious.
Oh, wait, here it is. Yep. Sold 3 units at, it just says filled sell 3. And yeah, it doesn't say where, but it was done at 11:24 and 19 seconds. I think it was more so just like a few units up, because I'm still getting used to the future side of things. So whenever I'm trying to apply the way that I trade the SPY to the futures, and I have no idea if it's the best way to do it. You and I have had so many conversations about the minute versus a tick. I like the minute, but that's also because I'm not used to the tick, right? And I like to have my trades around VWAP. So I try not to go long unless I am over VWAP, unless it's like a psychological number of 100 or $10 or whatever. Then I'll go ahead and go long. But I just like to trade around VWAP, and you can see on your chart, that's where it is. And that's where I'll kind of scale in, scale out, and kind of move it that way. Cause you can see on that previous 10-minute candle, it closed above VWAP. And that's where I like to get my entry. Cause it's like, okay, cool. I like the 10-minute after the market's already been open for a while, to give me my entries and exit.
All right. So we're in on Crude right now, guys, real quickly here. Crude's a big market, right? It's a $10 tick. It's $150 already. So in this particular trade idea, we're going to move a little bit quicker here, and then we could end it. I'm going to put another rectangle down here. This is the area of what I'm going to call support, short term. It's only 4 or 5 or 6 candles. See, we almost touched it again. But you know, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to kind of throw this in, try to buy the top of the rectangle right here. See if we can get a little extra juice. In the meantime, I'm going to move my stop to break even because, again, I don't want to turn a winner into a loser. I'd rather turn a winner into a break even.
No. Now, and the reason you don't have it above S2 is just because you don't want to take that big of a stop loss. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and S2 is another area of interest, right? And we haven't been able to get close to it ever since, since it was there. So that's why I did it that way.
I got you. And I did check the notice here, and it looks like I had sold some units at 42.7325.
Okay.
And I believe we're above that now. So, should have held, but again, that's unfortunately not the way the market works. You can't just take a rewind button on that. But hopefully, what I am going to do is leave the runners and see if we can go ahead and sell some at 42.83. Maybe I'll go for a walk, stop messing with my account. But Jim, this was fun, man. It's always a great conversation. I appreciate you hanging out with us, and we'll see you next Monday. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Of course, and that's Jim Cagnina, Senior Education and Training Specialist over at NinjaTrader. Make sure you guys check them out. They stream every morning at www.ninjatrader.com/events. And then you also have, you think you have a show the last 30 minutes called Bars Closing. Is that right?
Yeah, we do have a Bars Closing show, 3:15 East Coast time. And, we look for trade ideas at the end of the day, and we talk about what happened and what to look forward to tomorrow. It's a lot of fun. It's free. Join the community. Kick the tires, ask questions, state your opinions. It's all good.
All right. Well, the markets are moving up. We'll talk to you next Monday. Take care.
All right. Thanks.